The trail was still empty, so he allowed himself a moment to enjoy the view. There was much to admire. Low sunlight sparkled in the wet branches like diamonds, or the twinkle of a vast city in a valley, stirring to life at dusk. The forest smelled as fresh as a mown pasture, and birdsong was everywhere, the final chorus before nightfall. Such beauty! And for the first time all week, he took hope. Smiling, he drew a deep breath of the clean mountain air and resumed walking. He had covered 14 miles today, a tiring distance at his age, but a good tired, as his wife liked to say, the kind that settled your mind for a deep and healing sleep. So, after another mile, he decided to leave the trail to scout for a campsite. The good omens multiplied. He quickly found a level patch of downy grass beneath a spreading beech, where a pale band of fallen leaves pointed like an arrow to the optimum spot. It was like an illustration for a fairy tale, a place of enchantment. He heaved off his pack, set it down by a big log, and unzipped the top. Fresh, cooling air rushed up the back of his shirt, and the crinkly tent released old familiar smells as he flattened it on the grass. The rituals of making camp were a comfort, and it felt as if the forest had enveloped him in its arms. Nature, so often harsh, was for the moment his cloak of invisibility. This was his home ground, not theirs, and that counted for plenty. Yet, as he slid the tent poles into their sleeves, he noticed that the birds were no longer singing. Were they done for the day, or had something put them on notice? The wind shifted, and for a fleeting moment he thought he detected a whiff of something human. Sweat, soap, the smell of exertion. Or maybe it was his own scent coming back to him on the turning breeze. The hairs on his arm stood on end. A twig snapped to his rear, and he nearly lost balance as he wheeled awkwardly and rose from his crouch. Looking left, then right, then over his shoulder toward the trail, he saw only the brown expanse of the forest floor. Leaves and limbs, the white flash of a squirrel's belly as it leaped from tree to tree, but the odd smell lingered, unmistakable now, and he remained still. To his rear, the thump of a footfall. He spun as a metallic click sounded from the edge of the clearing, and he saw a man dressed in black just as the bolt from a crossbow struck him below the breastbone and plunged into his heart. Crying out in agony, he slumped to his knees and collapsed sideways. Blood pooled brightly on the deflating tent, and his eyes rolled back in his head. He gasped for breath, but no air would come. The birds held their silence. The only sound now was of footsteps approaching steadily across the leaves. They halted, a moment of peace interrupted by the click of a camera, twice as if to make sure. Then 2 more steps, followed by a grunt of effort and the slurping, ripping sound of the bolt being pulled from muscle and flesh. Unable to move or speak, he groaned a final time. His last thought was of disappointment in himself for having mistaken beauty for hope. The woods had failed him, and he had failed himself. The footsteps receded. The birds again took up their song, sounding the all clear from the trees. Friday, October the 1st, 1999. 2. Paris. The man with binoculars turned from his perch by the window and told Claire Saylor yet again to clear off. "We've got this, you know, and if Marston calls one more time, I'm not covering for you anymore." "He's losing it because I'm late for a meeting, for God's sake. This is operational. I'm seeing it through." A second man, seated at a folding table arrayed with 5 video screens, joined in. "Claire, what we're really saying is we don't need you. Your part was over an hour ago, so seriously, go ahead and— Fuck! Do you see this? Screen 4. The 3 of them watched the black and white image of a prosperous-looking Frenchman, mid-50s, suit and tie, briefcase in hand, making his way from the stairway exit of a metro station. Claire was about to offer an observation when her colleague at the window shouted to the man by the video screens. "You said he'd be gone till noon." "He usually is. Call Clay. Get him out of there." "Can't. He just turned off his phone for the sound."